Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, a.k.a. PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative Podcast. This is the podcast where we have digital discussions, the worlds of pop culture, social media, sports, everything really. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis, and on Twitter, you know me as PD Beats. Really excited to be joined by a actor. I mean, he's a pretty good guy, I would say so. I mean, Letterkenny is a very popular show here in Canada, but now the United States will have a chance to finally check out what all the hype is all about, because they have announced that you will be able to see Letterkenny on Hulu in the States. So we are joined with Nathan Dales, who plays Daryl. Nate, welcome to Popternative.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I mean, Iceberg, it's a crazy couple of weeks for you. I mean, they announced that Hulu have the rights and it will be available in the U.S. for everyone to watch. Just talk about what's been going on in the life of Nate Dales lately.
Yeah, man, it's been kind of crazy. It's like we've got some good stuff coming up in like you said, in the next couple of weeks here. We've got the new season of Letterkenny, obviously, coming up on June 29th, which it's like jacked to see. I'm pumped for everybody to see that. It's like, with filming and stuff, you work on stuff and you want everyone to see it right away. You want them to see it right away, but then, you got to edit, you got to do all this kind of stuff, and it takes a while. So it's like, we shot this a little while ago, but I'm jacked for people to actually see it now because I think it's hilarious. It's going to be super fun. And then also, too, the massive Hulu announcement as well. We'll start streaming seasons 1 and 2 on Hulu on July 13th. And so it's like, yeah, it's kind of been a crazy couple of weeks. And it's like, it's one of those times that you just play a little bit of like the countdown game. There's like not much you can do because, the new season doesn't come out until 29th and Hulu not until the 13th. So you're just kind of like waiting a little bit of like maybe the calm before the storm type of thing. But people are going to be jacked on the new season, man. It's going to be fun for people to watch for sure.
A lot of new cast members. Jay Baruchel was the one that was announced as well. But it's funny because we had Andrew Herr, we had Jonesy on the show, and I was telling him that Alex Harouche, who is a new cast member as well, I actually went to school with him in Montreal, went to CEGEP with him.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
That's wicked. That's wicked.
He was so stoked when he announced it, man. Like, and I feel like it was one of those things where he knew for a while he was going to be on the show, and it was just like he wanted to let loose and tell everyone, but he couldn't right away. But like, yeah, man, just everyone, the new cast members. I mean, the cast members now, it's amazing, and I think that's what makes the show strong. The casting is fantastic.
Right. Yeah. I think it's like, I think with any sort of project, and we're no different, right? Like, it can look really good on page and you can, have a great team together and stuff like that. And you really hope everything works. And obviously cast is a big one of those things you hope work. And then I think for this show, I think the talent on everybody around and everybody's good nature towards everybody else and personal relationships between the cast members and stuff like that, it just works. And like, that doesn't always work. But it does for Letterkenny. Everybody's just excited to be there. Everybody wants to put their best foot forward and try and make everybody else laugh. So, yeah, man, the cast has been an absolute blessing the entire time. And it's just like you get to go to work with your pals, you get to have fun with them, and I think all that chemistry sort of comes out on screen, and so everybody can see that everybody's having a pretty good time, which is great.
So we've had, like, Jared Kiesel's been on the show before, and we kind of asked him how Letterkenny started, so people are kind of aware of the origins of it. Started kind of as like a web series, but I want to know what was kind of the process of creating Daryl for yourself. I mean, what was that process like? That character is just so complex and crazy and temperamental.
Well, I think a lot of it comes through. In the writing, and so for me, a lot of it was done on the page for me, which is fantastic. For me, I get to just fill in a few of the blanks type of thing, because the way that Daryl's written basically gave me a character outline from day one, right? And then obviously I get to add in my own sort of stuff as you go along. But a big part of it was the writing and the character itself on the page before I even got a hold of it, right? But then, then after you kind of make it your own and realize that, there's lots of stuff in there that Daryl does that is just like straight out of my own playbook. It's just straight up me on the screen. And then there's other stuff that's obviously not. But yeah, man, the origin of it started a lot on the page. And then fortunately for me, I got to just I got to fill in the blanks a little bit there. And over the seasons now, it's been kind of great because there's been a an evolution to everybody's character, right? And Daryl's no different. So you get to see a little bit more 3 dimensions of these people coming through. And, you get to see a guy, for Daryl specifically, you get to see a guy who, will fight and back up his buddy and smoke and drink, but then also kind of has his heads in the clouds a little bit. And, gets to do some fun stuff like with the Easter episode and be kind of a weirdo with the eggs. And then, a drunken dancer with the St. Patty's Day episode, stuff like that. So it's fun, man. It's like, getting to create a character from the ground up. You don't, like, as an actor, you don't usually get to do that very often. And fortunately with the TV series, we've gotten a bunch of seasons to do that and stuff. So it's sweet, man. It's so much fun because, usually, like, for an actor, when you're starting out, you get to do like day player roles and stuff. And so you don't really have much leeway, but with this, it's like, man, we're way in the seasons now. So you got a lot of time to develop a character. It's awesome.
Oh, for sure. One thing I wanted to also ask you is I'm a huge fan of, in movies and TV, I love the soundtracks. That's like one of my favorite things. So music's a really important thing about that. And, Letterkenny, Canadian show, a show I still watch back in the day, like Degrassi, there was a moment where there was a lot of songs that they were using from these really cool up-and-coming Canadian artists. And then, that was kind of like the talk of the town. Oh my God, our song's going to be on Degrassi this week and everything. And I think Letterkenny started like season 1, did a really good job, featuring some Canadian talent, or you had some Keys and Crate songs in that. Was that something that was like talked about with Jared and everyone about like the soundtrack? Like, how does the soundtrack come together for Letterkenny?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was a focus from sort of day one, was to use absolutely as much Canadian content as possible, and not because there's like a mandate that says, oh, you have to use this. I mean, like, obviously, for radio and stuff, like, you have to play a certain amount of Canadian content. But for Letterkenny, not only did we want to use Canadian content, there's great fucking Canadian content out there,
Absolutely.
right? And so that's such a big one. And so, from day one, everybody from the top down, Jared included, and specifically Jared, wanted Canadian content and fought for it, and didn't have to fight that hard because, again, it's good content. And so from season 1 all the way through, and you'll continue seeing Canadian content all the time. Some good buddies over at Dine Alone Records, great Canadian label. Got some people from their label on and stuff like that. It's fantastic, and I love that it's giving an opportunity also to maybe smaller Canadian outfits to come with it, submit the music, and you can actually get it played on what's a pretty popular show now, and get a whole bunch of coverage. But Canadian content for it, again, easy to put on because it's good stuff. And also, local everything, man. You got to support the country for sure.
100%. They're different in terms, like, for a lot of people, the two shows about this are different. But I mean, you can't help but like talk about the idea that the fact that Trailer Park Boys, which is a Canadian sitcom, started off and then was just in Canada, then went to Netflix, and then became huge in the U.S. Letterkenny kind of has that opportunity now in Hulu. Was that comparison ever came up saying, oh, wow, like Trailer Park Boys did really well when it went to Netflix, got a bigger kind of demographic, bigger fan base. Now Letterkenny has that opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know that there was ever really, we tried not to really compare ourselves too much to Trailer Park Boys, because while we are very similar in some respects, from the ground up, Canadian show, small town, stuff like that. They are two very different shows. But obviously the comparison has to come up, right? Like they do so well in Canada, then they move to Netflix and reach a massive other fan base that for people that can get the show legally, right? Because there's always been a time where you can go and you can pirate it and you can do this and that or whatever, which is not the best thing to do. But as soon as you rip onto Netflix, or with us you rip onto Hulu, you get access to a huge, like you're saying, another huge demographic legally as well. Mm-hmm. And so that's just there has to be a comparison drawn there, because starts out Canadian, then moves to States, gets a bigger demographic, and keeps on going. So there's going to be a comparison drawn there. And I think it's just great, man. Like, good for them. Those guys obviously killed it, knew what they were doing, and enjoy so much success. And I really hope that it takes on Hulu for us, like it's taken on for Netflix for them, for sure.
So because deals like this don't come over, like they don't come by overnight. I mean, these are things that you plan for. You know what I mean? You want to reach a bigger audience. You want to go to Hulu. Were there plans to incorporate? Because the show is very Canadian, and I love that about the show. Were there plans to kind of put a little bit of American feel to some episodes or some characters, or do you want to just say, "Hey guys, these are your neighbors from the north. This is Canada"?
Yeah, you know what? I don't think there was ever I don't think there was ever a thought to do something like, "Hey, let's plant this little American tidbit in here, and then we'll gain some more traction because it all of a sudden will be about them more." No, there was never anything like that. But I mean, whatever comes up in the show. If it has to do with America, if there's comments or anything like that, or jokes or anything, or just references to them, that just comes naturally. And so whatever comes out of that, if people grab onto it from the States because they like that a little bit more, maybe referencing a place that they live, or just the country that they live in, or whatever, right? But no, none of that was ever planted. To specifically be like, oh, this is going to get us into the States. This will get us to deal with Hulu, because we're going to reference LA and New York and Chicago. It's not like that. But, again, if something came up, it was just going to be organically that it came up. And all the better if people grab onto it and like what we're talking about. And they're from the States for sure.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. What are the reasons? I feel like I've talked to so many people that watch the show. And what I love about Letterkenny is, when I ask someone, like, why do you like it? What do you like the most about it? I get a different answer every time. Mm-hmm. One person likes it because it's, the generic answer. It's hilarious. You know what I mean? Yeah. Someone else will like it because it's Canadian. Yeah. My friend told me that she loves it because it reminds her of her small town that she grew up in, right? Like, there's so many different reasons. Why do you think is the biggest reason why Letterkenny has been successful? And for you personally, what do you like the most about the show?
Well, I think what you're talking about. So in terms of the success of the show and why people like it, I think it's because there's not one specific thing. And I think because you can look at it and you can have so many different groups of people and they can all like different things, or some people can like the same things. That's part of the reason why I think it's doing so well, is because, and I don't want to say that it's broad, because I don't like that term, it's a broad comedy. That means it's just pandering to everybody. It's not. It's very truthful, but it does reach a ton of different groups of people, demographics and stuff like that. And so I think it's for so many different reasons why people like it. Like you said, it's because of, oh man, I knew that dude in high school, or that really reminds me of my upbringing, or, oh my God, I hated those guys, or, oh man, I used to fight those guys all the time. There's so many different reasons. And for me personally, why I like it so much, I think is a sense of camaraderie in it. You've got these loyal people, be whatever groups they're in, right? So you've got the Hicks, and they're loyal to the Hicks. Whatever else happens, you can bicker, you can fight, whatever, but you're loyal to each other. You've got the hockey players. They're loyal to each other. Except for a little bit of a mix-up with Katie Cat, but whatever, that's behind us now. And then you've got the Skids. Whatever they do, they're ripping rips and doing whatever, but they're still loyal to each other. So I love that aspect of it, and I think that's what grabs me the most, is the loyalty. It's great, you've got these groups of people that just really want to stick with each other.
No, absolutely. Aside from Letterkenny, I mean, people will also recognize you from Good 2: Last of the Enforcers. Yeah, as the new Russian goaltender that's backing up Belchi. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it's no surprise that hockey is a huge part of the show and the cast and crew.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my question is, what I find very interesting is, and you saw, Riley and Jonesy were at the NHL Awards, which were presented by Hulu. I find that interesting because I find that there's now a really big emphasis on growing the game in the United States, hockey, you know what I mean? With the Vegas Golden Knights having a huge run and everything. I find that really interesting because, Letterkenny comes in and it's like a Canadian sitcom with hockey there as well. So it's like a bonus, I find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really great, and just on Hulu's part as well, because they're doing so much stuff with the NHL, specifically with the playoffs and stuff, streaming all of the games and stuff like that. Them presenting the NHL awards, getting DP and Hersey to go down and present an award. And because they're on this show that's popular, but they're also hockey players on it. So I think in terms of what you're talking about, like growing the brand of the NHL and having a wider reach in the United States, I think it's perfect. I think it's a great cross promotional. Look at this, hockey's fun anyway, and so Hulu's going to show it. And look at this show that has a bunch of hockey on it. It's funny. Let's cross the paths of the two, and why not? Because they want to. I hear crazy statistics all the time about how many more expansion teams are going to be in the next 10 years or whatever. So yeah, if they can build the brand in terms of popular culture as well as the sport itself, then hell yeah, I think Hulu's doing a really good job of that right now, and somebody's on top of their game with the cross promotion there, because I think it fits right in, and people love to relate to those hockey boys, and so why not? And then maybe if they don't actually watch hockey, maybe now that they will, because they like looking at DP and Hersey on the screen, right?
Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand, man.
Yeah.
But so we'll wrap up. But
Sure.
seriously, man, thank you so much. I mean, what could plug away? Like, the stage is yours, man. Like, honestly, it's unreal what Letterkenny has done, and I feel like it's been a short amount of time. It just feels like it's been like what the show's been on for what? Like, how many years has it been?
Yeah. So, okay, let's wind it back for 2 seconds here. I won't take up too much of your time here, but so if you wind it back, when we started this, it would have been 2015 when we actually started shooting. So that's 3 years, right? But before that, there was like a year and a half of the web series that we did before that, and then or maybe it was just a year. Anyway, but now, but in that 3 years, we've crammed in like a shitload of episodes, right? Like we've been hard at work for it, so it feels like it's been longer, but it actually hasn't been that many years. Like, I mean, yeah, granted, 3 years is a long time, but it certainly feels like it's been longer than that, and not in a bad way, in a really good way, because it seems like because when we go to shoot, we do blocks of 6 episodes, right? So every time we shoot feels like 1 year. But like last year, we shot 3 different blocks. We shot 20 episodes. So it's like that felt like 3 seasons. And then this year and for the next 3 years will be 2 blocks of 6 episodes again. So it's like you almost feel like you get 2 seasons in 1 year, or last year felt like we got 3 seasons in 1 year. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. And that doesn't count too. Like, I thought was really cool is, you guys put a new season out and then boom, St. Patrick's Day special, you know what I mean? Or like boom, like special. I think that's a huge part of it too, man. Those specials are popular, man.
Yeah, I really like that too. I mean, it definitely, because the sort of the model we have right now is, as everybody knows, we do 6 episodes every 6 months type of deal, right? But if you can release, say, a Halloween episode or a St. Patrick's Day episode or an Easter episode, it just gives a little bit of something while you're waiting for the new season to be done, which is nice, I think, for the viewers. Also, it's nice for us because we get to see some of the stuff that we worked on, a little bit faster. It's great, man. I love it, and people seem to really like it. Plus, if you can't tackle some fun holidays, like, what the hell are you doing, right?
No,
like,
exactly.
Easter fun, Halloween fun, St. Patty's Day, obviously fun. So it's just like
it's
I think
fun because your character was a legend in that episode.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I get called legendary on a daily basis.
Man, they use that, like, that whole, like, I remember, man. You guys that. I remember that, like, preview was on, like, every day for like 2 weeks. And it was the clip where it's like, Daryl's a legend. Like, it was just that same clip over and over again.
Yeah, man. It was fun, man. I'm glad that people liked it. It's great to see it work out that way. And, I mean, the last thing you want to do is put out something that people don't like. And I think, there's so much hard work that goes into it from everybody from the top down. And it's great, man, when it turns out and people dig it. It's fantastic.
No, absolutely. Well, where could people follow you on social media? Where could they watch Letterkenny? We know CraveTV in Canada, Hulu in the United States coming up. Plug away, man.
Yeah, okay. So you can follow me on Twitter. It's @SummerNate. And you can follow me on Instagram @SummerNate, except Summer has 3 M's because got 3 M's, baby. The new season is going to be out the 29th of June. That is very shortly coming up. And then for our American brethren, July 13th on Hulu. We will be all of North America It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be really cool.
That's crazy. I'm so happy for you guys, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Right on.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. No, I really appreciate it.
Cheers, man. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for all the video episodes. The NHL draft just happened, so we had a lot of episodes there for you guys to catch up on. I promise we'll take a break from hockey, because it's not just hockey, it's pop culture, social media, sports. I get it, but so much hockey. People are like, where's the pop culture stuff? Don't worry, Letterkenny episodes are coming as well. If you don't want to watch us and maybe want to listen to us, because you might want to see Nathan's face, but you might not want to see mine. I mean, you can listen on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen. So that's June 29th, CraveTV, new season of Letterkenny, and July 13th. For all our American viewers and listeners, Letterkenny, you will not be disappointed. Great show. Until next time, this is Nathan Dales and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.